Hello and welcome to F1 Now. In this video we're going to be giving you our reaction to the Qatar Grand Prix. It was quite a difficult race for the drivers with the heat and lack of hydration, so let's unpack it. Now we came into this race on Sunday with Max Verstappen sealing the third consecutive championship after his closest contender Perez suffered from a three-way clash that beached his car. And more impressively, Piastri landed his first win in Formula 1 in the sprint. It's really been an amazing season for the rookie, with multiple podium positions and even his first win in his first year, driving a Formula 1 car. You know, I think it's about time that we stop looking at Piastri as the future, but more so as the present, because he has matched Lando not only in race pace, but also in noteworthy moments. And if it continues like this, we could see the scales at McLaren unbalanced in favor of the Australian. But time will tell. Alright, so back to the main race. The start became what I would say the most jaw-dropping moment of the whole race. Well, let's recap it. Now, the race started off quite well for the two W14s behind Verstappen, getting the jump on him off the line. Even more so, Hamilton was really bang on going down to turn 1, making great use of the softs. Havoc broke loose in turn 1 with Lewis coming in with more momentum than Russell and Verstappen, who were on the inside. And just like that, Russell was squeezed in with nowhere to go and clashed with his teammate right rear, jolting Hamilton straight off the track into the gravel, marking it an end to a possible great race. And for a second there, it looked like Russell would suffer the same fate, but luckily he got going again. So I have to say, for some reason those Mercedes cars are built solid, because visually on Hamilton's car, damage was only on the right rear tire. And for Russell, well, I think we all expected some wing damage, but there was absolutely none. So it became a recovery drive for Russell, showing us what really could have been if the two Mercedes cars made it out of turn 1. Now with all of this happening, in the end, Mercedes were very lucky that there was only one Ferrari in the race, with Sainz unable to start with fuel pump issues. And ultimately their pace was enough to keep the remaining Ferrari behind. And for Hamilton as well, his hopes to overtake Perez in the championship were kept, with the Mexican having a dismal race. Now, with the incident done and dusted, I think it's good that Hamilton took responsibility, but I personally kind of expected that something might happen when I saw Hamilton on the softs. I say this because I think we all knew, as well as the drivers, that Hamilton was going to go for it. So would it have been fair or just for Russell to hold station, let Hamilton cook? With that, even though this was Hamilton's mistake, a part of me still feels like Russell was just too eager to prove a point and found himself in between a rock and a hard place into turn 1. But that's just my take. So this played perfectly into the hands of the McLaren drivers, who again had a masterclass drive, taking the last two podium positions. Now another very important aspect that we saw play out throughout the race was the weather conditions. With it being so hot, drivers like Ocon stated to have vomited 15 laps into the race because of hydration problems. And in the Williams stable, sadly Sargent had to retire his car because he was just getting too sick and was becoming a risk and a danger to himself and others. Further along the paddock, after the race, all the drivers had something alarming to say about the heat and hydration. So it must be said, moving forward, something must be done to ensure the drivers do not find themselves in similar conditions, because it could be life-threatening. And another important part that shaped the race was the Pirelli tires. So after the sprint, with the amount of abuse the tires were receiving, the powers that be decided all the tires will be mandated to only run 18 laps in the race. Now, the interesting part about this is that some of the drivers and teams had a mixture of new and used tires, which meant that the pits would be busy after the first 15 or so laps. This was interesting because it made the race more dynamic and harder to figure out how some cars would stack up at the end. So for me, a bad situation of tires actually turned the race a little more exciting, because everyone was pretty much setting quali laps with no conserving over the fact that they had to make at least 3 pit stops. So I don't know about y'all, but I feel like there's something about mandating teams to a certain amount of stops or limiting tire lap runs in the race that just makes the racing that much more better. Maybe this could be something that Formula 1 and the FIA revisits to spice things up, because we saw a lot of overtaking in a track that was expected to have few. So in the end, Verstappen took the checkered flag, unsurprisingly, and followed by the McLarens, capping off a truly amazing race weekend for them. Now that is it for this weekend's Qatar Grand Prix race reaction. Quite a unique race with its own twists and turns, as well as ups and downs. Next up is the United States. So with that, thank you for watching this video and bye for now.